Hey guys, welcome to the Introvert Dating Success Show. I'm your host as always, Harry Wilmington. This is the show where you go to learn how to date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. Well, today is the day before Valentine's Day, and so happy early Valentine's Day. Hopefully, if you have a woman in your life, you're able to go do and have fun activities and stuff. And if you don't have a woman, then I'm sorry for that. And hopefully this show can help you figure out what's going on and what you should be doing better. So with that said, this show is ultimately about you guys. Obviously, you guys might have a lot of questions as it pertains to Valentine's Day or dating in general. So if you have any questions you want to ask me during the show, you can leave them in the chat. I'll be happy to get to them and answer them during this show. We also have a bevy of things to talk about because I have had a lot of, I did a video last week where I analyzed this guy named Better Bachelor. His channel is called Better Bachelor. His name's Joker, but he analyzed this woman's texting back and forth situation. I had my assessment of it, basically saying that the guy actually did a lot of mistakes, and I had a lot of comments about that, most of which I will not read because it's a lot of them, but there were a few ones that I wanted to respond to. Somebody responded to that, as well as many other things. And of course, the main topic, which I'll get to at some point, is, and your girl won't do what? And I was inspired by this because I don't know if you saw the Super Bowl this weekend, but it was the highest rated Super Bowl in the history of the entire world. And so I'm assuming you saw it. And part of that is due to the Taylor Swift factor. Now, obviously, I don't need to dive all into like, oh, she's ruining football or helping football, like blah, 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 blah. But I do want to talk about the parallels between what she's been doing and like girls that are in your life. And I did a video earlier this year kind of talking about that a little bit, but I just need to reiterate the point for you guys about the situation, right? So we're getting to all that stuff today. Also, guys, as you know, like I said, Valentine's Day is coming up, and that means that if you really need more deep dive type help in terms of figuring out what you're doing wrong, dating patterns, stuff that's going on, I have a bevy of great stuff at my website. Obviously, I have a free webinar right now. Let me just pull up what I want to show here. Let's see, share screen and window. Which tab is it? Here we go. So we show that one. Okay, so share. All right. Where did I go? Here we go. Okay, so just a few things to note. So to start off with, obviously, I have my website, introvertdatingsuccess.com, where we have a bevy of products you can get, ranging from the Introvert Dating Success Academy, which is the 12-step program that walks you through how to go from meeting a woman to getting her on dates to going through the 3-month dating process leading up to getting into a relationship. It has all the steps laid out for you. I know you might be thinking, steps? Dating shouldn't have steps. I should be able to just meet a girl and things happen. Spoiler guy, if you're not a guy that does not have a plan of action for dating, you will never get to the promised land, or you'll get there haphazardly and won't be able to keep her when you get there. This program will help you with that. I have the Smart Digital Dating Program, which walks you all through the ins and outs of how to do online dating. I have several people now that I've helped set up profiles that have ended up in relationships where they either got married or they're currently engaged. All right. So this is the real deal. You can check that out. We have the Stop Losing Women podcast archives. There's 435 episodes of my previous podcast where it's just talking about the ins and outs of dating, mating, and relationships, hours upon hours, like 144 hours of content. And it's a monthly subscription thing. So you will get a lot of great information in that, in addition to the stuff you already see on YouTube, right? But yeah, just go to the products tab. We got ebooks, we got audio courses, all that great stuff there. And of course, for those of you that are like, oh my God, money, I also have free stuff, such as a free webinar on how to avoid doing the 3 nice guy dating patterns that turn women off and what to do instead, as well as for this month only, a free copy of my book, Texting Like a Boss. It'll teach you all the strategies you need to know about what to text and what not to text. And you guys keep asking me texting questions. This is your chance to figure out how to do all that stuff for free. You fill in your name and email address, boom, it gets sent to you, and it's done like that. All right. So feel free to check all that stuff out at the website. All right. So before we get into anything that I have previously planned, again, this show's about you. We're going to answer your guys' questions in the order that they come in. So we have a question in the chat here. So the question goes, this guy has a question. He says, how do you motivate your girl to be healthier, eating better, working out, etc.? Okay, so I'm going to give you the real on this. And so this is a 2-part answer. So the first part is this, is that realistically, If you meet her and she's already big and she already has bad eating habits, then you probably should not have gotten to that situation, because it is very, very hard to change somebody. Especially the older we get, the more stuck we are to our habits. And so it can be very, very hard to try to say, hey, you should eat better. Hey, I don't like the fact that you're getting bigger. You should do something. It is possible to have those conversations. But again, in terms of if she was that aesthetic when you first got to her, that's going to be a harder road. Now, if she started off where she was like skinny or relatively fit, and then over time she started to gain some weight, then that's a different situation. And again, this doesn't make it any easier though, because realistically, look, the way women look, it is tied to their ego and it is tied to their emotions. And when you try to say something as simple as, hey, I think you need to lose some weight, you're thinking it is just a factual statement that has no emotion behind it. And she's going to feel all the emotion behind when you say that statement, which is going to make it oftentimes very, very hard for them to take that in, as you're not saying you're disgusted by their body. You're not saying that they're not necessarily pretty or that you don't like them anymore, but you are saying that there is something happening that if it keeps going a certain direction is not going to be pleasing to you. Now, me, I have just personally found, like, in my dating life, I've dated women who have either they started out one way, then they got a little bit bigger, or they were bigger to start with. And early on, I was like, oh, it's no big deal because, they're big. So they're also big in the parts that I like. So fantastic. And then I dated a girl who got a little too big to where she started having nonstop periods. And she was driving somewhere one day and she just passed out in the car, just like passed out. She had she was pre-diabetic, like all these things, right? And so I'm and again, keep in mind, I liked her face. I liked most parts of her body, but as she got bigger, it was like, oh, this is what people talk about when they say that I want you to be healthy and it's not about looks, because it really did impact her ability to move around and affect her, like all these other various things that had nothing to do with her looks, but everything to do with like her quality of life. Okay. And so this is a thing that you need to be serious about if you're like, you see her starting to get bigger, because if it doesn't stop, I can assure you, I have plenty of relatives now, they're in their 50s and 60s that ate all they wanted to and got big, and they've had multiple knee surgeries, they're on crutches, et cetera, right? So that's the first part of the answer. Here's the other part though. And here's the honest truth, is that most women are going to follow your lead in everything you do. And that includes your diet. So you might be, say, a guy that's skinny to kind of roundish, but not really, or whatever. If you are able to, if you're eating junk food and you're asking her to go on a date, you're the leader, right? You're asking her to go on dates to restaurants where they have nothing but unhealthy food. You're taking her to fast food restaurants. You're buying little treats and desserts for her. Then you can't tell her to try to lose weight, given that you are actually helping her to gain the weight. So you have to look at, realistically, what things are you doing that are contributing to her potentially gaining weight? Because most people gain weight in relationships because realistically, you guys go out a bit more. I know that, at the times that I'm dating, I typically tend to gain a little bit of weight, and it's hard to get back on that balance of like, okay, I got to eat better, when the other person you're dating wants to bring you treats and wants to take you out to dinner and wants to do all these things, But you have to be the one that is steadfast on, okay, if I want her to improve, then that means I got to start with me. If you start to eat better and you start to choose places that have healthier choices, then by default, at least when she's around you, she has no choice but to eat better. In terms of what she does in private, that is a different conversation. And I have found that if you start bringing up your fitness journey, like you're trying to work on getting more fit, you're trying to focus on eating better, then they'll start to say things like, yeah, I need to start eating a little bit better too. And yeah, I can see, because I've been eating a lot of junk food lately. At which point she is now opened up the conversation about her weight. And she's opened up that she's not been eating the best. At which point you can now start to interject your opinions like, oh, really? You think you're eating? Okay, I see. So hypothetically, if you're saying that you could be eating a little bit better, what does it look like to you? Like, what kind of things could we be doing together to make sure that you're eating better and that I'm eating better, so we can both, continue to live this quality of life, healthy lifestyle? And that is an easier way to get into the conversation than just like, well, you have gained all this weight and you need to do something about it. Because women if they're in a coupledom, they don't want to be on a solo journey. So they don't want to be thinking, I'm going to go at this alone. You're her guy. So she wants to do things with you. So if you are going on a health journey and you are realistically starting to eat better and try to find recipes that are better for you guys' health, then that allows her to jump on board your journey and follow your lead. So the downside of that is if you fall off, she's going to fall off because she doesn't want to be in this by herself. So I found that has been the easiest way to do this. And hey, I've dated women that literally, I dated a woman one time, like she started out at, we'll say like a higher weight. And at the point where we broke up, she was down by like 25 pounds, you know? And it was just because I had made the decision to like eat better and start cooking things at home more than going out. And so she just followed my lead. And next thing you know, it took her a few months. Like it took her about like 4 or 5 months, but she lost like 25 pounds in the span of 4 or 5 months. Like it was incredible. So that's why I'm telling you, from that lesson, I learned if you're bringing her along with you, it's going to be easier than you telling her to do it by herself. So hopefully, Guy, that gives you some insight into how to have that conversation a little bit easier. Let's see. We got some other questions in the chat here. You're completely right about the whole better Baptist. Oh, I'm gonna go over that in a minute. Okay. Let's see. Question. I actually had this question ready to answer in my thing, but I'll answer it here. So we got a question in the chat, and the question goes: if I get a girl's number after some conversation, do I have to say I want to take you out on a date, or just I'd like to take you out? To be intentional, and that it's not as friends, especially after. Short answer is no. I have found that when you first meet a woman, you don't have to do all these things to try to prove to her that you're not like other guys and that you're not trying to use her for sex or a hookup or whatever, right? And I think that's what a lot of, we'll say, so-called nice guys do, is they think, okay, she's probably dealt with these other guys that play with her heart. So in order to take her out on a date, first, I have to ask for a number. Then I have to tell her I want to take her out specifically. Then I have to tell her that I think I like her already a little bit. That way she'll know for sure that I'm in this to try to get with her on a relationship level. And what I'm trying to stress to you is women don't need all the information. Like, in fact, they just need to know enough to know that you're probably interested in them on some level. But the more you're trying to prove to them that you like them, it's actually scaring them off because they haven't even decided if they like you that way. Like, you ask for the girl's number, right? You say, hey, I'd love to get your number. She's giving you the number because she's thinking to herself, okay, he asked for the number. I don't know where this is going, but I can't wait to see what's next. So when you come back and say, just so you know, I'm getting this number because I really like you and I want to ask you out, pop, goes the balloon. Oh, he likes me. Well, it would have been kind of cool to have time to figure that out. But since he's told me already, okay, and that can actually cause her to have less feeling for you. So here's what I found has worked for me. Your results may vary, but I found asking for the number and getting the number and leaving has been most effective. So I get the number, I leave, and then this is, by the way, this whole plan that I tell you guys is laid out in my program, the Introvert Dating Success Academy. It lays out step-by-step how this works. But suffice to say, once I get the number, I leave. Because at that point, I've gotten the information that I need. I don't need to now oversell. Like, the sale that you made the pitch you made to her was enough for her to give you the number. That is the sale. You made the sale. You get out. And then you wait a couple of days and then hit her up and ask her out. So you don't have to tell her when you first get the number that you're going to ask her out. That's already your plan. You're thinking it's a bad thing to leave her in limbo and she's not going to be sure. Whatever. No, she actually needs that. She needs to be able to, this is what, because I've seen this happen, right? This is what girls will do, right? You will ask for the number and then you leave. And then she will, for the next couple of days, talk to her girlfriends. I met this great guy at a party or at this networking thing. It was so cool. We had a great conversation and I gave him my number. Gosh, I wonder if he's going to call. Well, maybe he has stuff to do. Yeah, he probably has stuff to do. Or maybe he has other girls he's dating. Oh God, I wonder if he has other girls he's dating. I mean, I hope not, but I mean, girls secretly kind of do want that because they want to know that the guy that they're dating is wanted by other women. Oh gosh, I wonder if he's going to call me or not. Geez, I used to have to sit here and wait and wonder about it and spend time thinking about him until he hits me up. And all that does is build up her like for you in her mind. So by the time you do hit her up, she's just elated because by day 2 or 3, she's thinking, I guess maybe he forgot about me. Maybe I'm not as pretty as I thought I was. Maybe he just got my number because he was just trying to be nice to me. This is net. Like, she has all this stuff going on in her head. And then you hit her up and it's like, oh my God. So, and that's the feeling we want. But you can't make her have that feeling if you're telling her off Jump Street, hey, so I want to ask you out. So give me a number because I think I kind of like you and we could be good together. Like, don't do that. You don't owe her that. So get the number, get out, and wait a few days and hit her up. Very super simple. And you will actually find you will get more women's numbers and you will get more dates doing it that way than trying to tell them up front how much you like them and how much you want to take them out. Like, don't do that. For all you know, hey, you get the number. For all she knows, you could be getting the number to ask her for a favor later, or to, ask her to buy insurance, or to ask her on a date. She doesn't know, but the not knowing part, this is the part that helps you build mystery. We always talk about how women like guys that are mysterious, and this isn't game playing. This isn't about you like not letting her know long term like what you want to do here with. Like, you know none of that, because realistically, when you first meet a woman, you shouldn't know all of what you want to do with her. You asking her out is a courtesy, and it is an inquiry into finding out more about her. So you don't owe her all this stuff up front. So again, that's what's worked for me. Your results may vary, but hopefully that helps you out. All right, let's go on to another question here. Let's see, to be honest, I'm so mad that people can get into relationships and I can't laugh my butt off. I came so close and almost bagged a couple tens, but they found out I was talking to a bunch of other girls. So here's the thing, because you're in high school, or high school, middle school, but you're one of those. Either way, it's a little bit, the rules of dating in the adult world are a little bit different because we're not seeing women every day. Like, I live in LA. I could date a woman that's in the north part of town, and in the south part of town, and in the west part of town, and the north, and they would never meet each other because this place is just so big. So there would be no, oh my God, she saw me on a date with somebody else, because I would just know to go to different parts of town if I was doing that, But that said, like, don't let that deter you. And also, just look, the advice I'm about to give, I would have hated to hear at your age. Being a bit older now, I get it, but it's still going to suck to hear. But if it doesn't happen for you now at the age you're at, that's fine. Like, realistically, you don't have the means to actually take care of a woman long term yet. This is just the playing field. So while you're at the age you're at, focus on the skills that you need that are going to help you later on in your dating life when it actually will matter. Your conversation skills, practice being around a lot of women so you can get less nervous around them. Practice doing lines on them that you totally don't expect to work, because you'll eventually find that some of those will actually work, and then you can use them later on. When you get to college is really when the game's going to start to be real. And it's not to say people don't meet their high school sweetheart and marry them. It's just, it's not a strategy that across the board is typically that common. And so more focus now on like the skill sets of how to interact with people, how to be a better communicator, how to be a better friend, neighbor, all that great stuff. Those skills will help you immensely when you get older. As for right now, if you're in school, women are going to see you talk to other women and probably be upset about it. It really boils down to how you react to it. So now at the age I'm at, I would be able to handle this. At your age, I couldn't do it. But like at an older age, if a woman was like, hey, if I see I'm on a date with somebody and another woman comes up, hey, what are you doing out with so-and-so? I thought you were dating me. I thought you were dating me. Ladies, like, we're all just dating right now. I haven't made a commitment with you. I haven't. Okay. Haven't made a commitment with you. Okay. What are we doing? I've had 2 dates with you, 2 dates with you. This is just the beginning. So, hey, it is what it is. If you're mad about that, hey, I totally get it. Best of luck to you. Right now, I'm just trying to see who is going to be the best person for me. Would you agree that we're all doing that? Like, you're still in the dating app, right? Okay. You're still also in the dating app, or, I just met you for a friend, but you might have other guys you're talking to, right? Okay. I'm not upset if that's happening, because we're just trying to figure each other out. And see, my energy from that and me not being freaked out would calm them the heck down. Or one of them might say, well, I don't want to see you anymore. And I'm like, great. Well, best of luck to you. Hey, let's continue our date. Because in the dating phase, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're seeing multiple people. And I'm going to answer a guy's question about that later on. But suffice to say, if you look like you're bothered by that when you get called on it, then they're going to read it as, oh, this actually is a problem. Versus if you react to it as if, oh, but we're dating. You shouldn't be freaked out by this, because this is dating. Why are you freaking out right now? Then it becomes the thing where they got a question. Maybe I am freaking out. Like maybe I'm the one overreacting, because he seems to be fine. And so this is why I say women will follow your lead. If you're freaked out, it's going to signal to them that you think you're doing something wrong. You can't feel like you're doing something wrong, because you're not. Now, if you were in a relationship where it was titles were there, boyfriend, girlfriend, now you're cheating. Now that's a different conversation. But in the dating phase, that's not what's going on. Your job in the dating phase is to find a person that is going to work best for you. And sometimes that means you're going to be dating 2 or 3 people at a time. Don't let them shame you into thinking that that's a bad thing, because to be honest with you, they might not even tell you. They're probably doing the same thing and being hypocrites. I remember years ago, like, I had a friend of mine that was married. They're divorced now, but I remember one time he said that she asked him, hey, so when you go to work and you're at lunch, like, who do you eat lunch with? Are you talking to any women? Are you eating lunch with any women? And he was like, well, there's a female coworker I eat with sometimes, but it's no, oh, how could you do? Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. He's like, but we're not doing anything. Like, why are you asking? Kind of find out she was having lunch with a male coworker and just felt some kind of way about it, was being hypocritical. So again, women will do things and then come to you and say, how dare you do this thing? And they're doing the same exact thing. This is why you can't be so mad about that. And you can't let that freak you out when they come to you, because you're not doing anything wrong. Some people may disagree with that, which I'll get into in a little bit, but ultimately you're not doing anything wrong. So hopefully it helps you out. Okay, let's see what we got here. Another question in the chat. And the question goes, oh, wow, this is a lot. Okay, let's see. Okay, I think I saw this one. Okay, I'm going to answer the question. Okay, so here we go. So this is a long one. So we have a question in the chat, and the question goes, hey, Harry, I've been going out with this girl for about a month now. We have gone on 3 dates so far. On our second date, we hooked up, and afterwards, she said she's not looking for anything serious. I'm sorry. I have a saying on here, which is like, all women are the same, and that they all think they're different. Like, every woman individually is going to be like, I'm different from other women because X, Y, and Z. And yet they all say the same things. They all say the thing of, I'm not looking for anything serious after a hookup. Why is that? Because most guys they found after hooking up with them suddenly want to wipe them up, want to start making rules, want to start trying to lock them down. And so women have just learned, okay, I got to interject and say, I'm not looking for anything serious. That way, this guy right now will be trying to get into a relationship with me because I need 2 or 3 months to solidify my feelings. And this is date 2. And even though we hooked up, I don't want him to think I'm quite there yet. So I'm going to tell him this. So that's why you heard that. But anyway, so he says, although she asked me out on a 3rd date and now we're going on a 4th date on Thursday, does she secretly want a relationship? And if I eventually want her as my girlfriend, is it my best bet to just keep on going on dates and hooking up? Yes, less. So like I said, most women have experienced that at the point that sex happens, guys go crazy and start thinking it's now a relationship. And then guys get really hard pressed of this idea of like, they don't like the idea of, but we're hooking up now. And I don't like to think that she could possibly still be dating other people. I can assure you either A, she's probably not, or B, they're probably not as serious. But the caveat is this, is that if you start trying to mention relationship things, and if you start deviating from the things that have been working because you're thinking, but she's so special, but she's different, then you're going to mess this up. So let's ignore, and guys get mad when I say this. Sometimes you have to ignore the words that she's saying because what she's saying is not what she's actually feeling or doing. You look at her actions. So the words she said were, she's not looking for anything serious. In the moment that she said that, she meant that. And she meant that because, again, she's probably had the experience of hooking up with a guy early on, and then he gets into boyfriend mode and try to put her in wifey mode when she still needs time to analyze you. So as much as it sucks to say this, you almost have to treat sex as though it is literally just part of the finding out process. You can't treat it as like, this now changes everything. We hooked up and now we have a connected bond that's going to make us boyfriend or girlfriend. I'm sorry, it's 2021s. You can't treat it like that anymore. You have to treat it as this is just part of the finding out process. So she said the thing because she wanted to see what your reaction was going to be. If I tell him I don't want anything serious, is he going to try to do like other guys do and be like, oh no, we should be in a relationship. I need to wife you up. Or is he going to be like, okay, cool, and then go with the flow? So what she gave you was the go with the flow speech. It's not the words that she should have said it, but it's the go with the flow speech of like, look, dude, we hooked up. This doesn't mean it's a serious thing right now, because it's date 2. This is true. Now, what'll happen though is if you just go with the flow, and again, I've experienced this, so I'm telling you this from personal experience. Don't let the words fool you into thinking she doesn't want something with you. She just needs the 2 to 3 months that I keep talking about on the show to really assess if she wants to be with you. So give her that time. So don't deviate from your program. Ask her out once a week. When you see her, hook up, have a good time with her, fantastic. And then at some point, if you are consistent in your actions of hooking up, of showing her a good time, of having great conversations with her, then by month 3, she'll start to think, I mean, I wasn't looking for anything serious, but I now feel that this could be serious. And once she starts feeling like it's serious, then she'll come to you. It really is that simple. We as guys make it hard with our logic and our thoughts of like, well, I need to have a logical conversation with her about getting a relationship. And I need to tell her effectively that she said she wants something serious. And since I heard nothing serious, it must mean that and we end up walking ourselves out of what could have actually been a situation where if we had just been a bit more patient, she would have told us she wants a relationship. Like, take it like this, guy. The fear you have is that if you don't make it a relationship, she's going to leave you. Dude, if you're consistent, she's not going anywhere. It could take 2, 3, maybe even 4 months. But if you're consistent in what you're doing, she will come to you. I've seen it happen too many times. When I was an early dater, I didn't believe it. In my 20s, you'd have told me, so all I got to do is just show up regularly and like do the things I've been doing. And she'll come to me for a relationship. I would have said you were crazy. I've been in enough relationships now to know that's what happens every single time, to where I don't have to ask. Because you don't lose out for not being in a relationship. What? Are you mad that, I'm getting hookups, but it's not getting hookups under a relationship? Oh, she's paying for dates sometimes, but it's not in the context of a relationship. Why are you mad at that? You are a free agent. In fact, the worst case scenario is you continue to keep your options open to see other people, and she gets mad at you. Hey, wait a minute. Why are you seeing other people? You said we weren't serious and we weren't in a relationship. Or did you change your mind? And now she has to give up the game. Well, she actually does have feelings, and so you can still get a relationship off that. But again, let her come to you. So don't just ignore the words she said. They mean nothing. It was a comment she made in the moment because that's what she was feeling, but her feelings can change. Just as long as she's continuing to show up for dates and giving you consistent hookups, you are good. All right. But he continues on. He says, on our fourth date, she's bringing her parents to come and watch my band play at a local restaurant. It's very confusing, and it seems like she wants a relationship, but she did say on our second date that she isn't looking for anything serious. Oh, she's bringing the paragraphs. Paragraphs. She's bringing the parents. So, you know me. I mean, if you see my show enough, you know I'm not a big fan of like meeting parents and close friends early on, because I think it should just be you and her during those first few months of getting to know each other. Also, her parents being that early on in, she's definitely going to ask them, so what do you think of so-and-so? And their feelings about you are going to weigh a lot more heavily this early on in the process than if it was later on in the process. So I would have been like, you're bringing your parents, that's great. But actually right now, like, you know what? Right now, I'm just trying to get to know you, if that's okay. So, because as a guy, it's perfectly fine to set boundaries and say, this is cool to do. This is not cool to do. What most guys do is they shoot themselves in the foot, because she'll say, hey, let's do this thing. And the guy's like, well, I don't want to hurt her feelings. So, okay, hey, let's do the things you want to do. And it's a horrible idea. Like, for example, a woman will say, hey, like third or fourth date, hey, so I'm going to a party with a bunch of my friends. You should come. And guys are like, she's going to introduce me to her friend group. That's a great idea. No, it's not. It's not the third month. You're not the boyfriend yet. And so what's going to happen is you're going to go to the party, and then the friends are going to make judgments about you. You're going to see her in the environment, and like she won't be there the whole time. So you're going to be by yourself part of the time, and that's going to look odd. And it's going to be this awkward energy. And then her friends are going to make judgment calls about you. And who knows if she has a jealous girlfriend that thinks you're cute and wants to break you two up now. And because it's so early in the process, she could very well do that. So I don't allow girls to do that. Like if a girl comes to me like second or third date, hey, so I'm going to be going to this party with my friends. You want to come? I'd be like, hey, you know what? I want to meet your friends at some point, but right now, like we're just getting to know each other. So if you don't mind, like I have other stuff I want to do. But I definitely want to hear about the time you have with your friends. But like right now, just for me, it's a little bit too early. Hope you understand. If she doesn't understand, she's not for me. But I found most women are willing to follow your leadership and also be accepting of your boundary. The ones that aren't, you don't want to date them. But anyway, to answer the question, so again, you're listening to, I'm not looking for a relationship. She's bringing her parents. So this is now, to her, part of her getting to know you, getting to observe you, getting to figure out more about you process. She's bringing in other outsiders to assess how you are, to get more intel on you. Now, again, I don't like this particular version of it, but this is all screaming positive in terms of her like for you, a rising increase in interest, okay? So that means that, again, ignore the word she said. Don't let the I'm not looking for a relationship throw you off balance. You should be happy. You should be like, great. I dated a girl one time. She told me that it was a girl that I dated, and we broke up, and then we were getting reacquainted, and she was like, hey, so I think we should just be friends. I don't think we should be dating each other, or at least not right now. And my response was like, okay, cool. And then like the day after she said that, I had a date with somebody else. Fast forward 2 weeks later, and she was like, what got her to want to reconnect with me and be my boyfriend, or be my girlfriend again, was that she heard I had other plans one night and realized, oh, wait, I'm mad about this. This must mean I like him. So that changed her mind. I didn't have to tell her or try to cajole her, hey, but I really want a relationship. No, she told me the thing. She's not looking for a relationship. I said, okay, great. Did my own thing. Boom. She magically came to the conclusion. This is how women operate. So ignore the words. I'm telling you, you lose no points for ignoring the words, but trying to push on her. But we should still be in a relationship. You're going to lose out. All right. You're not losing anything right now. You're gaining everything, and she's still hooking up with you. Why are we trying to get into a relationship? You know? So hopefully, guys, that helps you out. So we got a question in the chat here. Somebody says all relationships start as casual dating. That's the thing. That is absolutely true. And I kind of want to touch on this a little bit. So men get this idea in their head because we as guys, I tell you guys all the time, you want to be a man with a plan. Unfortunately, men think that part of that means, okay, so my plan is when I date this woman, I want to get into a relationship. And then if she says some comment like, well, I'm not looking right now, the thought is like, oh, abort mission, game over. She's trying to play games, or she's telling me she doesn't want a relationship, so I'm out of here. And the reason women say this is because so many dudes just don't know how to go with the flow. Women are trying to show up and have a good time and be taken out and have a whirlwind time with you and laugh and joke and maybe hook up with you. And they're focused on that. But that's part of their process of getting to know you to see if they can get with you, because they want a guy they can have fun with. They want a guy they can just casually lounge around with and have random conversations with. And you want to focus on super serious conversations and doing dates that are intentional to try to get her into a relationship. Guys, you can't let the words casual dating make you think that means it's always going to stay that way. All dating starts out casual. You meet a chick, you go out on a date, you just shoot the breeze to see if you guys like each other enough to want to continue doing that. And then if it works on date one, hey, great. Let's try doing this like for the next 9 more dates and see if we can continue doing this. Just consistently having a good time with each other, consistently showing up for dates, consistently hooking up, consistently having wonderful conversations. And guys are like, but what if it doesn't lead anywhere? The worst case scenario is you hook up with the broad a few times, and then she says she doesn't want to do this anymore, and now you go out and find somebody else. That is the worst thing that can happen. But I get, if you're not used to like the idea of abundancy or being able to get women consistently like that, then you can be very much scared into like, but if this doesn't work out, I don't know who's coming next. I got programs and YouTube videos for you to watch that will help you get out of that mindset. But suffice to say, being scared into the point where you can't do casual relationships does not help you. Casual relationships does not mean long-term. Casual is how all relationships start out, while she's dating to find her person and while you're dating to find your person. So take the casual part and don't assume that means forever. Assume it means for the beginning part. And this is why I tell you guys in the beginning, you should be dating more than 1 or 2 women, because realistically, you need to find out from multiple people if what you're looking for is going to be found in any of those people. And you can't do that realistically off one person. Or I'll say you can, but your brain has to get to a point where like you're not so scared off, because like me, I can date one person at a time now, but I already know in my head, if this doesn't work out, I can find somebody else. If you don't have that feeling in you yet, then you need to start out by dating multiple women at a time so you can start to understand that it is not, in fact, hard to find a woman if this one doesn't work out. And that'll allow you to date more casually during those first 3 months and not be so super serious. She will let you know when she's ready to be super serious. But don't think that because you're calling it casual now, she's never going to turn it into something serious. Some of you guys haven't experienced this. I've experienced it too many times. Women will come to you in month 2 or 3 with the relationship talk. But that comes from starting out as casual. So hopefully that gives you guys some insight into what that actually means when we say you should be casually dating in the beginning. It is not a curse for you to never get in a relationship. In fact, it's the building block to get into one. All right. Got some more questions in the chat. Does the waiting to call 5 to 9 days still apply to middle-aged women? I'm 48, by the way. Oh, you must be a fan of Doc Love. So Doc Love was the guy that said, on average, you should be waiting 5 to 9 days to between dates to ask women out. Now, I found in my personal life and early on that it was stressing me out. It just was. Like I tried to follow that principle, and I found that getting to day 5 or 6, it was like very, very nerve-wracking. So I said, for me, I said to you guys, you should wait a minimum of 4 days. I found 4 days for me has worked well. But I've also found that I have taken women out, that I take them out on a date, show them a good time, and then I do wait 5, 6, 7, 8 days, depending on circumstances. If I'm going out of the country, for example, and I'm not going to go on a date with them, there's no need to be calling them back to back while I'm out of the country. If I have, a family situation coming up or whatever, then I don't feel pressed to have to get back to them right away. But I found for me starting out, 4 days typically worked pretty well. It was just because here's the thing, you're trying to jump ahead of her expectations. So, because if she's able to predict how you're going to do things, it can become very monotonous and boring to her. So, for example, most women, for one, expect the guy they're going out with to text them either that night or the next day. Not because they want it, But because most guys can't help themselves and end up doing it, so over time they just learn, oh, so most guys are going to probably go on a date with me and then text that night or text the next day to try to continue a conversation or hook up with me. So when you become the guy that doesn't do that, you've now jumped over her expectation. Oh, I thought he was gonna, but he didn't. And then she starts thinking about, but why didn't he? And that small thought right there is going to make you stand out from the other 97% of guys that she went out with that hit her up that night. So then the next hurdle is, okay, if he's playing the waiting game, most guys on average are going to wait like 3 days to call or text me to ask for another date. So, okay, so I'll wait the 3 days, and then 3 days comes, and then most guys have hit her up by then. Hey, want to go on another date? Hey, I had a good time with you, blah, blah, blah. Except for you. You decided, you know what? I'm going to listen to Harry, or in this case, Doc Love. I'm going to wait 4 days, I'm going to wait 5 days, 6 days. You know what? I'm going out of town this weekend. I'll hit up when I get back. I have realistic stuff going on to where I can't get back to her right away, you know? And then now, so day 3 passes and she's thinking, wow, 3 days, he didn't hit me up. Like, I must be out. Like, he must not have liked me. I must have done something wrong on the date. He's probably got other women. I'm now talking to my girlfriends about this guy, but I'm like, on one hand, I'm kind of upset that he didn't hit me up, but also I'm talking about him. So like, what the deal is, right? I guess I'm out. And then at that point, you hit her up. And now she's like, oh, snap. I thought I was out. Whoo. You know what? Whoo. That was close. I need to make sure that on this next date, I do things that are going to make him want to contact me faster and make him want to choose me. And honestly, that's how I found that second date hookups happen. Because by waiting, you built up the anticipation so much for her that now she's the one trying to prove to you why she should stick around and why you should continue to choose her, instead of you, the guy, trying to be like, well, I got another date that's really expensive. Please choose me. And that's what you want. Because it's an even balance of like, you want to hit her up to show her, hey, I'm hitting you up for a date because I like you and I want to show you a good time. But also we need her to think like, and you need to be doing stuff on your end to make sure that I keep wanting to do this. That's how things get balanced. But most guys do is throw off the balance by texting too soon, by calling too soon, by asking for multiple dates or trying to say on one date, hey, let's go out again on another date. All those things actually lessen her attraction because at this point, you're chasing her. As I always say, if she's chasing you, she can't be replacing you. But if you're chasing her, it's going to be too much force and she's going to probably think this is too much or he's trying to push me into a relationship. And oh my God. So to answer your question, yes, I've dated across the board. I'm 42 now. I've dated ranging from in the past few years, women ranging ages 25, mind you, all the way up to like 42, 43. I can assure you all women respond positively to you waiting a few days to hit them up. If you're nervous about that, it means that you have not been in the habit of actually practicing doing that. So I would say, give it a shot. Like, you don't lose anything. Well, let's be realistic, okay? There are some women out there that if you don't call them within 2 or 3 days, they're going to get mad or upset. Those are women that have bad tempers and are impatient and are always trying to get their way. And it's good that you do this thing to chase them out of your life early rather than keep them in your life and then become a problem later on, all right? But women that have a good head on their shoulders and that know all about being patient, I can assure you, if you wait 4 days to hit them up, or 5 days, or 6 days, or 7 days, they're just happy you're hitting them up for another date, all right? And those are the kind of women that we want you to be dating, because the ones that are impatient, I can assure you, they are hell to deal with later on and not fun. So hopefully, guy, this helps you out and gives you a little more confidence into being able to wait those days, all right? All right, let's see. Moving on here. Let's see. Okay, this guy has a question. He says, Run Club guy here. Oh, the Run Club guy. Yes. Because you made the, okay, so this is the guy early on. There was a woman that was in his Run Club and he asked her out. And I think she still had a boyfriend or she was seeing some other guy else at the same time. Either way, I guess that didn't work out. So he says, I made the mistake of telling my parents about the second date falling through with a girl from the Run Club. They insist that I ask her out again. So this is one of those things where parents, friends, family, they are going to be well-meaning and they're rooting for you. They're rooting for you to make this a success. And they too have seen too many comedy movies and rom-coms where initially the girl's like, oh, I don't think we can date, or, oh, I have a boyfriend that's a jock or whatever. And then, you know, the friends around him is like, but you're the better guy. You need to go in there and try again and try harder. Don't do that. Like, dating is not hard. If a woman wants to see you She will make time to see you, and she will, any excuse in the world, she will like bypass that to see you, which I'm going to get into in my main thing today. Okay. But yeah, if she ain't doing that, why you going to fight harder for her? Like, there's no point in that. She's new stimuli. You can find other girls that will be less harder to fight for, real talk. So don't listen to that. That's not a thing. Let's see. Continuing on. Let's see. Okay. Question in the chat goes, what's your opinion on the advice from people saying, quote, meet girls at coffee shops? I find this advice a bit confusing, seeing that it's very difficult / awkward to walk up to a girl or sit down at her table in a cafe. It seems pretty impractical to me. I have a lot more success meeting college girls at the Trader Joe's / Whole Foods on Sundays, just making banter about what they have in their carts. So here's, if you know, I don't go to coffee shops all that often. However, I got a laptop right here, and there'll be some days where I want to get out of my apartment and go into the world and like work. So I will go to, there's a coffee shop that's right up the street from me. And I went there like last week. Like last week, I just went there randomly, sat down at the table and got there. But when I went into this particular coffee shop, I did notice the following. There were several women that were there on their laptops working by themselves. All right. So I stress this because apparently coffee shops are very popular places for women to go to get out of the house and to work on things. So for an introvert, I will say that is an environment where you can meet women where it is conceivably low pressure. The question becomes, okay, so how then do you get to meet them? I talk about this kind of thing by way of the approach game of stuff extensively in my program, the Introvert Dating Success Academy. It walks you through how to approach women and how to talk to them. I'll give you a little snippet here though, right? So I do what's called transitional conversations. I did a whole webinar about this, but the suffice to say is that the idea is that you don't go up to a girl and just be like, hey, what's your name? Nice to meet you, blah, 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 blah. You use your environment to figure out an excuse to talk to a person. So if you're in a coffee shop, what is there? There's coffee, there's drinks, there's tables, there's all this other stuff there. There's music playing. There are a bevy of things you can bounce off of to be able to talk to a woman. So if you're in a coffee shop, so again, the one I went to, there were women that were sitting by themselves. There were a couple of tables that had a couple of girls sitting in it together. Like, so you could conceivably, for example, sit next to their table and just start working on your stuff, act like you're not paying them any attention, all right? And then at some point, say one of them has a drink, you know, like they're drinking a drink and it's like a green drink or a brown drink or whatever it's in their cup, right? We'll assume it's a see-through cup. You can just be like, hey, I don't mean to bother you, but like that drink looks like amazing right now. What is that? I need to know what it is so I can get it myself. And so at that point, she's like, oh, the drink. Oh, so what have you done? You haven't said to her, hey, cutie, how you doing? Hey, baby, what's going on? You've used her drink as an excuse to open up a chat. And all she has to do is say, oh, this drink? Oh, yeah, it's this mint flavored tea drink that's on there. It's an icy one. And then just flow a conversation. Oh, really? I didn't know they made those drinks here. I don't know. How's the flavor of it? Because I mean, some other shops, they have a weird flavor of it. And so I want to make sure the one I'm going to be getting on your recommendation, mind you, is going to be good. Ha, 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 ha. Oh, well, you know, it's so great because boom. Now you've got to open, and now you've opened up a conversation. You haven't made it awkward, and next thing you know, you're talking to her. And then, oh, thanks, I'm gonna go get that drink. By the way, what you've been really nice, appreciate it. What's your name? Oh, my name is so-and-so. Hey, great, so-and-so, this is Nat. Go get the drink, come back, work a little bit. Hey, thanks again for the drink, I appreciate it. I gotta go, but real quick, I would love to get your number. Boom, you're done. You're done. And so if you don't make it awkward, then it won't be awkward. If you're projecting that you're feeling awkward about a situation, you're gonna feel weird about it. So learn to not be so awkward. And again, a lot of the stuff comes with practice. It comes with doing it as a habit to where you're not so nervous. I'm in the habit now of being able to do that. But again, I'm 42. I've done this for a long time. So if you need help with that kind of stuff and how to get not so anxious about women and how to approach them better, sign up for my program or sign up for coaching at introvertdatingsuccess.com. But that's how you can do that, because cafes are low key. So you go with a low key vibe. You're not trying to walk in there like, hey guys, I'm here. Like, no. You low-key, sit near a table, sit near the girl you wanted to talk to, and then just wait it out. Like, you ain't got to talk to her right away. She's going to be there. She's got a laptop out. She got papers out. She got books out. She's going to be there for a while. Sit near her, just start working, start typing, and then just figure out something she's around that can start a conversation. Hopefully that helps you out, but it's really, really simple. Again, we as guys make this hard, and it really doesn't have to be. All right. So let's see here. All right. So I think I got all the stuff here. This is, yeah, we got all the stuff in here. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh, Jesus. So I'm going to go ahead and jump to some of these things that we have in the comments that I have got for this past week. But I'll actually start off with the main topic because we're already an hour into this. I appreciate you guys asking these questions. This is why I love doing this, because I love answering your guys' questions on the fly. Thank you so much, St. Joe Bro, for the super chat. I greatly appreciate it. For the rest of you guys, you can leave a super chat if you find this information to be helpful. You can also leave a Cash App at $ Harry Wilmington, or you can just leave a like on this video because all that stuff helps with the algorithm. So leave a like, subscribe, all that great stuff. All right, so let's talk about the bowl, right? So you guys, I assume you guys saw the Super Bowl. You guys saw what happened there. It was epic. Like the thing went into overtime. It was amazing. But more importantly was, of course, the big deal of Travis Kelce's, by the way, his last name is actually Kelce, not Kelsey, but I'm going to say Kelce. Travis Kelce's girlfriend, pop superstar Taylor Swift, was at the game, right? Now, we're not going to talk all day about Taylor. Who cares about her, right? Except for this one important part, is that Taylor had a show that she was doing as part of her Eras tour in Tokyo, like a couple of days before the Super Bowl was set to happen, right? So she's in a whole other country. In order for her to be able to get to the Super Bowl, she was going to have to literally end the show, jump on a plane, fly however many hours it is overnight to not even get to Vegas, because all the Vegas airports were like, we can't have anybody come in. Too many planes are already coming in. She had to be able to fly into LAX right here in Los Angeles and then get a ride from Los Angeles to Las Vegas to be ordered and able to be do this. And mind you, during that time, major jet lag, right? Because going from Tokyo to here, like that, you're skipping a day almost. Like that's a lot of jet lag to have to deal with. And yet she was willing to do all of that in order to see her boyfriend at the freaking Super Bowl. And your girl won't do what? Like the girl you have a crush on right now. I'm getting questions like, hey, Harry, so I want to date this girl and she's like, she's wants to date me, but oh my gosh, she said she's like 30 minutes away from me and that's a long drive, so she can't make the drive. This woman flew how many miles, how many hours, how many days to be able to get to see her man. And that's the point, is that let's ignore the rich superstars, right? Women that like you, help you, and are willing to do things to show you that they want to be with you. And too many guys right now are accepting women that are clearly wishy-washy, like clearly aren't really either about them, or if they are in a relationship, are solely in it for themselves, right? This whole thing of like, oh, well, my woman never pays for a date and it's been like 3 months of us dating. She won't do what? Like most women that I date, by the third or fourth date, they're trying to offer me to pay for desserts, offering to cook for me, offering a bunch of stuff that involves them putting money towards my situation. Oh, the girl I'm with, it's been 2 or 3 months and she won't plan a date. Your girl won't do what? Like the girl that likes you, that is trying to also impress you to get into a relationship, isn't willing to actually like plan a date out, isn't willing to like to initiate text with you first, is trying to make you pay for all the things, won't hook up with you from time to time because she just doesn't feel like it. Like these are the things that you're willing to accept. And yet, you know what? The fact that she would fly across the globe to see this guy also tells me about all the other things she's probably willing to do to submit to him. Yes, she's the billionaire in the relationship who is flying to him, who is being cuddled up in his arms, who is probably willing to make him a plate and is willing to like just hang out and have fun with him and do whatever. And you're stressing about a woman that won't do what again? That won't drive across town to see you, or is making you always go to her, or isn't willing to like show up for you in your moments of need. Like this is what you're accepting. And this is what I want you guys to notice, is that you don't have to accept low bar behavior from women. I know I talk a lot on here about like in the beginning, as the guy, you're probably gonna be doing, initiating most of the dates and trying to do a lot of the early heavy lifting. But it doesn't take long for a woman to build interest in you and to start wanting to show you that she likes you. So if you're not with the kind of woman, what are you doing? Because I've only, in my 30s and now 40s, I've been able to experience that like when women really like you, they will sacrifice for you. They will move for you. They'll be willing to like do all the things, to where if a woman comes along and it's like, well, I don't want to do this in bed. Well, I don't really like playing this kind of music. Well, I wouldn't go to that concert. Well, I don't know about this and that. My response is like, why are you still here? You're not willing to do what? Like, I always tell women, I say, I tell women that are like apprehensive about dating or are always so picky about dating. I'm like, as guys, we're designed to die for you. Like our sacrifice is if harm comes your way, we got to jump in front of you to take a car hit, to take a bullet, to take a punch for you. And you can't serve me a plate. You can't drive across town to see me. You can't. Why is you can't even on your freaking list? Some women out there, because of feminism and all, they'll be like, well, I shouldn't have to want to do for a man and this and that. And you can't tell me what this and that. Taylor Swift, rich ass superstar, flew across the globe to see her boyfriend. And your girl won't do what again? I just want you all to get that in your head, that Taylor is showing a perfect example of what a girlfriend is supposed to be. Now, again, we can be fair and say, but Harry, she's dated a lot of dudes. Like, we can look at her roster. I think somebody did a video where it's like she done dated 13 or 14 dudes over a span of like X amount of years. Like, she's got a roster. So we can say on that front, maybe not the best picker, but in terms of her being an actual girlfriend, it appears as though when she's with a guy for a decent amount of time, she's doing like all the things. If Taylor Swift is willing to humble herself for her man, and you're with a woman that won't humble herself to do the same, then you, sir, are with the wrong woman. So just something to keep in mind for you guys. I thought it was lovely for her to be there and to see her on the field supporting her guy. And then, I didn't see them making out, but like her being there and just supporting him. Like she got $1 billion. He got some money in the bank too, but it ain't $1 billion. And yet she's still being like, I don't care about that. I care about him. He treats me well. When we go out, he's being gentlemanly, and that's what I want. And I assume if you're a nice guy or a guy that's gentlemanly, you're doing the same thing. You're already making sacrifices to these women that you like and care for. And she won't do what? I'm sorry, I'd already gotten rid of her. Second, third date, she's talking that crap, I'd have already been out. Like, I'm not willing to accept that kind of behavior, and neither should you, all right? Now, somebody had a question. Oh, somebody said, my girl literally told me one of her rules was not to date somebody far away. Once she met me and the attraction was there, that went right out the window. Yeah. And again, I'm not a proponent, I'm not an advocate for doing long distance relationships, but you will find that women that have a high interest in you are more than willing to get rid of other silly little rules. Because see, their silly little rules are there to weed out the guys that they don't actually like. So that's why women will say things like, oh, I won't date a guy. You know how many women I've dated? Well, you don't know, but I've dated plenty of women that I'm 5'9.5". I have dated women that are 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot, who would normally say, but I don't date short guys. Did I listen to them when they said that? No. I showed up on the date. I gave them the best version of me that I possibly could. And lo and behold, that rule went out the window. I dated girls that were like, oh, I don't do long distance dating. And in California, by the way, long distance is like an hour to an hour and a half long drive, because traffic here can make a 35-minute drive turn into an hour-long drive. And I've been able to date those women because I was just so nice. I was dating women when I didn't have a car that were like, I don't want to date a guy that doesn't have a car. And they were driving me places. So again, they will always break their rules for guys that they have high interest in, because their interest connects with their feelings, and their feelings supersede any logical rules that they set in place for themselves in hopes that it was going to keep them on the straight and narrow and getting a certain kind of guy. Like, you come along and show the right show. Oops, where'd the rules go? Oh my God, the rule book, where'd it go? Oh, it's out of here. So he's absolutely right, Now, we do have another question in the chat, which is, what did you think about Usher and Alicia Keys? Oh my God. I'm glad you asked the question. So let me just do a quick little Google search here real quick. Images, Usher, Alicia. All right. I'm going to pull this up for you guys because you need to see this. All right. So I'm going to share my screen because I saw that. My eyes catch everything. And it was really hard to not see that during the course of the event, because, Usher got out there, was doing a great job. And then he, all of a sudden, Alicia Keys has a moment where she comes out. She's wearing this really fine red dress and looking like all kinds of red candy from Christmas. And then, Usher and her had a song called My Boo that came out back in the day. And so, of course, they had to do the duet. And they did the duet. But man, let's see here. So this is what happened on stage, people. So the internet was up in arms about Usher going up to Alicia Keys and hugging her. And it'd be one thing, it was like, oh, it's like a little friendly hug. Oh, it's just part of a little sway thing. his hands were going places that an HR person would have probably fired you for, if you know what I mean. And so I saw this, and my first thought was, that's not a good look. But then the second thought I had, because, Swiss Beats came out, her husband, Swiss Beats came out and said, hey, you guys are worried about the wrong thing. You should be worried about that. She looked really hot in that dress. What I was worried about was this exact thing, was that the next day, not even the next day, that night, this would become a meme. And now plastered all over the internet is a picture of Usher and his wife hugged up, having a good time with Usher's hands all over these various parts of her. And I thought to myself, dang, Swiss Beats is a simp. Because he's trying to put on a good front. Hey, it's just for show. Hey, who knows? Maybe they're having swinger parties where they've already hooked up together collectively. Who knows? But that's not something I'd want my girl doing. I wouldn't want to see my girl hooked up with another guy, then have that posted all over the internet. And so I'm like, who thought about that? Putting the show together, who thought about that? Who thought that this was going to be a good idea for these two to hook up, to hug each other on stage and connect in a way that do people not know in the 21st century that pictures and memes are things that people are constantly looking online for reasons to be able to take this kind of stuff and then post it to embarrass people? I've seen so many memes of them I put on my Facebook this is the reason that your boyfriend basically worries about that close guy friend of yours personified. This is literally that. The work husband, the close guy friend who we've never done anything together. He doesn't see me like that, really, but he's hugging you like that, but he's touching you like that. And so I thought it was absolutely atrocious and asinine that they even allowed that in the show. But hey, I don't know their lives. Maybe Swiss Beats was cool with it. Maybe he legitimately was cool with it, but it's not a good look. And I would think, again, I would hope that I'd be dating a person that wouldn't even sign on to do this kind of thing. If Alicia were my wife, I would hope she'd be like, hey, there's a part of the show, Usher, where you want me to you want to come up to me and hug up on me? That was cool when I was single, but I'm a married woman now. So can we just touch hands and maybe do a little circle or something like that? Nah, baby, I got to hug up on you. Well, then I can't be part of the show. I would have done like that. Or I would have hoped that my girl would have done like that. But that wasn't the case. So, but also keep in mind, Alicia Keys is the same woman that the way that her and Swiss Beats got together was Swiss Beats was previously married and Alicia hit on Swiss Beats. So this isn't out of Alicia Keys' character to even do this kind of thing because she does not have the best rep at being a faithful woman, let alone not being willing to break up a relationship, including apparently her own. So she's already of low character and of low value, but Swiss decided to marry her. Swiss let his marriage get broken up by her and then married her. At that point, this kind of behavior should not be a surprise. So that's my thoughts on this. Hopefully you got some insights and enjoyed that little rant, but it was absolutely what are you doing? This is going to be all people talk about the next day. And the sad part is Usher put on a great performance. All people were talking about is but him and Alicia. And that's the saddest part because that performance was absolutely stellar and great. I downloaded a few songs afterwards, but yeah, that picture of them together, no bueno at all. All right. So now we got that out of the way. I'm actually going to take a quick break to get some more water. And in the meantime, we will be right back. Hey guys, Harry Wilmington here. And I just want to tell you really quickly about some of the awesome ebooks that I have available at the website. So to start off with, we have my brand new book, Stop Losing Women, which is based off of my previous podcast. And it's over 284 pages of life-changing advice for your dating life. You're going to discover in the span of these pages the ins and outs of how to become more confident, the do's and don'ts of how to attract women, how to pace yourself during the dating process, and ultimately what it truly takes for you to be a more confident dater so that way you can get out there, attract women, and more importantly, stop losing women, okay? The other ebook that I have on my website is called No Girls For You, The Ultimate Guide to Losing the Girl of Your Dreams. This is the first book that I ever wrote, and simply put, it is a 12-chapter masterpiece that is designed to, in a very funny way, mind you, guide you through the ins and outs of why all the things you're trying to do right now to attract women can actually cause you to lose them. I mean, things like being the nice guy, overextending yourself, getting too many gifts, too many compliments, and a variety of other things that you may think as a guy I should be doing. This funny book's going to help you figure out once for all why you should not do those things and how to better yourself instead. So be sure to check that book out as well. The other book that's been very popular at my website is called Texting Like a Boss. This is where, for all you guys out there that have problems texting women or don't understand why she starts off so chummy in the terms of the texting things, and then she starts to kind of go away and you can't figure out what's going on or why, or you're not an efficient enough texter to be able to actually get dates by way of texting. Well, this book is going to give you 21 do's and don'ts that are tried, true, and tested, so that way you can get the results that you want with women when you're texting them, and ultimately not do the wrong things that are going to cause her to eventually ghost you in the texting realm. All right, so check that book out at the website. Lastly, my other popular book that I have there is called 10 Steps to Winning Back Your Ex, the step-by-step, no-nonsense guide to reconnecting with an old flame, regardless of who ended the relationship. And so for you guys that are like, hey, I think I lost a great one, and she left me and I want to get her back. Or you might have been the guy that's like, hey, I dumped her and then I realized I made a mistake and I want to get her back. Well, this book covers both of those scenarios in a very detailed step-by-step way that is designed to allow you to figure out what you did wrong, how you can show up better, and the sequence of events you need to go through in order to effectively win back the woman that you are no longer with. So if these things sound like things that'll be helpful to you, then definitely go to introvertdatingsuccess.com, click on the products tab, where you can find a summary of all these books as well as my various programs, and they will be more than happy in helping you figure out whatever part of the dating journey you're on, so that way you will not be confused and you will ultimately be able to have the dating life that you want. So check those out at the website today. And we're back. So before I continue on, I want to point out something very important. Let me just pull this up real quick. One of the things that I like about being in this space is the ability to come up with, dating topics for you guys and talk about stuff. And I watch a lot of other content creators as well. And even though I watch other content creators, like I might watch somebody here and there to just kind of get an idea of like what's being talked about and then how I can put my own little spin on it. Like the idea is that I'm taking those and making them my own ideas, or developing those ideas from ones that I saw. That's why I do like video reviews and stuff like that, right? What I don't like is plagiarism. Like I will never blatantly take somebody's stuff and say, hey, I'm presenting this to you as my advice. Like the stuff that I've gone through personally and that I experienced, that's my own stuff. But there are people that I quote quite consistently, whether it's Doc Love, David D'Angelo, Corey Wayne stuff at times. Like I'll always say, hey, this is a person who said this thing, and then I'll expand on why I feel that they're valid in what they said. But I'll never come here and say, oh yeah, I totally came up with the interest level thing and the phone. Like I always give credit, right? Well, there's another lady that gives dating advice on YouTube, and her name is My Non-Leather Life. It's an interesting name, right? And so she's been doing videos for years talking about dating from a different aspect of being a woman and like the things she experienced and observed about herself and how she reacts to men when they do stuff, right? And so very great channel. Well, recently she said on her channel that there was another woman that was plagiarizing her stuff, meaning they were taking it from her videos and then basically barely even rewording it, but then going on to make their own videos with her content using the same order of events that she's talked about and the same scripting. And so I checked out the said person's channel, and based on what I saw, she was alleging that it was happening. I saw it, not to say allegedly it may be a thing. But anyway, so I just want to show you guys real quick like that. So this is the video that I made at my website. You can check out. It's called Plagiarize. YouTuber says woman dating coach stole her content. Let's watch. So what I did was I took, because she allegedly took several videos and then made it her own content, right? I simply took one of the videos that was on My Non-Leather Life's page and took a video from this other lady's page and did a side-by-side comparison. And you can watch that video and see for yourself if you feel as though she was plagiarizing. I think it leans strongly towards, but your viewpoint of that may vary. But I'm going to leave that link in the web in the chat as well. But you can go to my main YouTube page and find the video. It's very easy to find. All right. So check that video out when you get a chance. It's been my most popular video all day so far, and I keep having nonstop comments on it. So it's worth you guys looking at. But again, I take plagiarism very seriously. In my past, I created and or did projects that got taken by other people. And here in Hollywood, that happens quite often. So I get very annoyed when that happens. And so when I saw that this morning at like 6 a.m, I was like, crap, I got to make a video about it. If nothing else, so she can use that evidence towards trying to fight her case with YouTube. Allegedly. All right. So check that video out when you get a chance. All right. So now back to our regularly scheduled program. So I have a few things here, just comments that I got through the course of the week that I wanted to further comment on. And I was originally going to do the show and call it Rethinking Chivalry because, I think sometimes men have an idea of what chivalry should look like and the kind of chivalry women should want from us. And I think men get annoyed when, for women, it would actually look different. And, or more importantly, that certain things that guys do that they think is chivalrous are not things that they're asking of us and that they don't actually need from us. So this guy, I did that video about Better Bachelor and about the texting thing where basically he was reviewing a woman's text chat and how she was saying that because the guy waited to the last minute to hit her up for to solidify plans for a date, and then was trying to ask her, well, where should we go and what should we do, that she ultimately decided not to go on the date. And Better Bachelor got on her for that, saying, well, she should have known this when he texted this and blah, blah, blah. And she should have. And I'm like, this is why, A, texting sucks. But also, when you're asking them out on dates, you try to make things as clear as possible so there will be no misunderstandings and so you can get the date, right? All this extra chatter, all these making these extra jokes. When you're trying to get a date, go for the stuff that'll get you the date. Put out the details that let her know that you want the date, so forth and so on, right? So there was a guy that commented under that, and I'm going to read his comments and stop along the way, all right? So he says, men only need to plan and pay for a date if you're applying our old traditional values to relationships. If she's got a career, has had multiple prior partners, and can support herself, then men need to plan or pay becomes a statement about a woman's value compared to men. Well, here's the thing. I have pushed on this show repeatedly now that if you're, to be fair, most guys, as a guy, you're going to more often than not ask for the date. Ideally, whoever asked for the date would pay, but most women aren't going to come to you and ask for a date initially. I've had it done. The earliest I've ever had that done is the second date. I'll take a girl on a first date, and then she's hitting me up. Hey, so I want to go on a date with you. Let's go this Sunday. Oh, crap, that was easy. But most of the time, you're going to ask first, right? But I keep stressing to you guys, dates don't have to be expensive. Dates don't have to cost money. In California here, I've literally gone on dates at comedy clubs that were $5 a person, not having to pay any drinks or food, just to see the show. I've done picnic dates. I've done walks in the park and on the beach. You guys are thinking, I got to pay money and this and that. Nobody said you had to put all this money towards a date. But ideally, you have money to go on a date either way, because that shows that you have a job and you can support yourself. If you can't do that, then I could see why you would complain about having to pay for all these dates. But you shouldn't be doing overly expensive dates in the first place. You should be knowing enough about your city and town to know where are some spots we can just go and have a chat, coffee shop. Pizza's really pretty good. It doesn't cost more than $20 to share half of a pizza when you get to know each other. But it doesn't have to cost a whole lot. But also, it's interesting, he says about if you're applying old traditional values to relationships. This is not a relationship. This is the dating scenario. And in the dating scenario, yes, in the beginning, you're probably going to, as the guy, have to do a teeny bit more than her because she has all these offers coming. That is how the game is played, is that there's a lopsidedness. Now, the fortunate side for a guy is that most of those guys are going to fail. If you just have a microcosm of sense about you on a first date, you'll probably get a second date. But if you're going into it where it's well, I got to do this, and she's got a career and body, so what should it matter? You can totally think that way. You're going to lose out on a lot of women that would actually be good choices because in today's society, I'm sorry to say, women have more choices. They can get more hookups. Women have more opportunities to get degrees. They're probably going to have higher paying jobs. Look at Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Spoiler, she's a billionaire. He's not. So you can be mad at that and be because of that, she needs to pay. Okay, fine. Newsflash. Just because women have those things, that they're not, most sane women are not equating their value with that stuff. Oh, I have a high career and I can support myself, but she still goes home alone at night. So she knows that her value is not in that. Her value is in how she looks. Her value is in her fertility. Her value is in her ability to be agreeable. And so you have to find out if a woman is that thing. So if you start by asking her out on dates that are relatively affordable and seeing if she goes along with the flow, that's an easy way to see early on, oh, this woman might actually be somebody that's worth having in my circle, So then, secondly, he says, men habitually make an effort to gain a woman's attention, yet the reverse also needs to be true. A charming personality, appearances, and physical intimacy may entertain a man for a while. Yet this isn't enough to sustain his attention because it doesn't meet the standards for a healthy relationship. But again, this is the dating phase. And so what in that video with the Bachelor, he was going over a video of a woman that was just trying to get to a second date and the guy was messing up there, right? So his approach to trying to get a date made her realize that this guy doesn't actually know what he's doing. And so she was right to not accept the date. Now, I said in that video also, I don't think she's a good partner. Like, given her TikToks and what she talks about, she's probably already like toxic. But even if she's a toxic, that was a scenario where he was doing the wrong stuff. And so to his point, like, yeah, like early on, he's saying like all this other stuff is not going to be good for a relationship, but like that's the stuff that gets you into it. Like realistically, women should be bringing a charming personality. They should look really hot. They should want to hook up with you. Those three things are important stepping stones to getting to know the other parts of her to assess if she's a partner. And so ideally, a woman that has good sense about her is going to bring those things to the table for you to be like, but that's not enough. She's starting off with what she needs to start off with to try to impress you. And then she can get to deeper stuff later on. Most guys are trying to get too deep, too early. And so that chases them off. Whereas the girl coming on is just trying to have fun early on. And so if these are not enough for you early in the dating process, then you're not going to ever get to the deeper stuff. If you can't accept the surface level stuff she's initially bringing, she's not going to trust you enough to want to do the deeper stuff because you can't even handle like the surface-based stuff and have fun. Like women want to be with guys they can have fun with and also have deeper conversations with. And you're saying that's not good enough. You're going to lose a lot of women that way. So then he says, if little more is offered, then you're simply trading your time in return for nice dates and gifts. This is why the dating phase is a 2 to 3 month process where you figure all this stuff out. The expectation that men pay primes men to consider what they're getting for that money. It can't be nothing and it shouldn't be something. Well, again, the idea is that you're not spending a lot of money. You're going to basically be matching the money effort with the energy that she's bringing to these various dates. So in the beginning, it's going to be very low effort on your part. You're paying for maybe a coffee or maybe a whole pizza that costs $20. But you're doing that because that's going to give you an excuse to meet up with her, to talk to her, to get to know her, to learn about her. And she's also coming knowing that, hey, early on, he doesn't know me enough to spend all this money. That's totally fine. I need to get to know him anyway, because honestly, at least what I've heard from women, the more you're spending on these dates, they're thinking, what's the expectation? Like if he's spending $150 on his first date, what does he want me to do after this date that I might not be ready for? So most women actually prefer that you're not spending a whole lot of money. Men have been tricked into believing, I gotta spend $200 to $300 on a date, blah, blah, blah. And then they get mad at the woman for accepting the date. If I was a woman, I'd accept the date. You're willing to offer up a $300 date. I'm not gonna turn that down. That's stupid. But also, if you offer out a $20 date, well, okay, cool. I'm gonna go there to get to know him anyway. Like you're the one that's putting forth all this money that nobody asked you to put forward. And I know somebody's going to say, but Harry, what about that video of the girl that didn't accept Cheesecake Factory, all these other videos, blah, 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 blah. There are a segment of women out there that will not accept dates that are lower than $100. You do not date those women. But those women I have found in my personal life are few and far between. Most women, especially when they get to like their late 20s, early 30s, they can barely get a date, and let alone a date with a guy that they actually like. So they're just like, I just want this guy to be sane. Please let him be sane. Please let him not ask about my boobs. Let him not try to touch me. Let him not try to think of any nasty jokes. They're just hoping for all that, to where the money aspect is the least important part of this date more over the other stuff that I just mentioned, you know? Anyway, so here we go. He says, also, it's chivalrous to let women choose a place she knows, is comfortable with, and is close to her home among familiar streets, friends, and family. I mean, they're not going on the date. So anyway, planning a date includes considering her safety. So let's talk about this, right? Let's talk about the logic of what he's saying, or rather, let's say the illogic of what he's saying, right? So for one, he says it's chivalrous to let a woman choose a place she knows and is comfortable with and is close to home. I had an interesting conversation last week with a woman, and I brought this up because this is the comment he left last week, right? I brought this up, and they said, you know, one of the reasons that, because I was saying that's a boring date because she's already been there a bunch of times. So why would you want to do something that she's already done? Like that's not exciting for her. There's no mystery in that. Blah 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 blah. Right? So what she told me was this, is that the other thing that men don't consider is that if she takes you to a place that she likes and the date doesn't work out, or she gets attached early on and then whatever, it fizzles out, she can now no longer ever go back to that place that she once frequented, because now there's an emotional event that happened there. And again, women are all about their feelings and emotions. She had a bad experience at this place that she used to go to on a date with you, and now she can't go there anymore. So she said most women aren't going to want to go to a place that they frequent with a guy because they don't want to ruin the place. They want to be able to go there next week and have drinks with their friends and have a good time with their family and not think about the bad date she had, or wondering if the guy's going to try to stalk her there now because it didn't work out and she tried to reject the guy, and now he's just showing up at all the places, including where she frequents to eat. And these are things that guys, I would never thought. I've been doing this how long? And I've never thought about that aspect of like, oh crap, yeah, if she goes all the time, why would she want to ruin that place with a bad date? So this is where I get into, you have to understand the ways in which men think about what should be chivalrous and what should work on women and what they should want to do on a date is usually dramatically different from how women are thinking about it. We're thinking logically, if I let her pick the place, then logically she's going to have a good time. She's been there a bunch of times. She's done it before. It's not new. And again, more importantly, she's not trying to ruin that place if she really likes it. So this is an example of, while you're well-meaning and being chivalrous, you're actually effing up by trying to get her to choose a place that she wants to go to that she's been to a bunch of times. The other part, he says, is planning a date includes considering her safety. And he goes on to say, the choices she makes provides insight into her eating habits, lifestyle, and dating goals. It'd be a mistake to assert that, quote, men should plan everything regardless of her needs, interests, and capabilities. This can very quickly lead to women being placed in awkward and unsafe situations because some men will take advantage. And so to that, I say, how? Like, I will give the caveat that, yes, if you as a guy make the mistake for a first date to try to ask her to go back to your place as the date, like you're on a dating app, you hit her up on a thing, hey, so first date, let's just go to my place. Yeah, I'd say she needs to be worried. But think about realistically, the majority of your first dates are happening where, guys? In public. So you're going to invite her to a restaurant. She's going to feel unsafe around a bunch of other people that are in the restaurant, that if something happens, they can come up to the table and beat the crap out of you. Like, none of that makes sense. You're picking a place where there's a well-lit parking lot, where there's food there that I assume is not poisonous food. Like, nothing you're doing in terms of asking for that first date. I even tell you guys, hey, for that first date, don't offer to pick her up. Offer to meet her someplace. So she has to leave her house, so you don't know where she lives, to come to a restaurant that's in public where you're around other people and in a well-lit parking lot, so she can't be mugged by you or assaulted in some way by you in the parking lot. Like, if you're planning out the date right, nothing of what you plan should make her feel unsafe. And most women have in their head that they're going to be good. Like, wherever you say you want to take them, or wherever you say you want to meet up with them, rather, they're going to be fine. Like, oh, pizza place, fine. Chinese food restaurant, fine. Coffee shop, fine. Why? All public places, all public parking. If worst case scenario, if you start acting weird, they can say, barista or waiter, hey, this guy's acting weird. Let me get out of here. So that statement in and of itself, oh, you got to consider her safety, is illogical, because again, he's thinking, if I let her pick the place, then she'll feel safe. But you should be able to pick a public place, where any public place she goes to, outside of maybe a really harsh bar or a strip club of some kind, where the strippers just want to beat up on patrons, you should be totally fine. So, but this goes to also the fact that, again, he's thinking that this is a thing that women are having an issue with. Like, women are having a problem with a guy planning a date. Ooh, I don't want to be that guy that tells her what to do, because women don't like that. And yet, how many shows have I done where I talk about the fact that women want to follow your lead? Women don't want to plan dates. Women want to be with a guy that can just plan the thing and she just show up and be pretty. Like, those first few dates, all she wants to do is be like, where are we going today? You already have a plan. Great. What should I wear? You tell her what to wear. Great. I'll show up. That's what they want. And this guy is saying, but I got to consider, and hey, I'm not even trying to bag this guy, because I get it. I was this guy one time in my early 20s when I was dating. I was all about, well, women's lib, feminism. So we both need to make decisions. So what do you want to do? I want to do whatever you want to do. Well, that's great. So what do you want to do? Back and forth until I wouldn't get a date because I was that guy that was like, well, the courteous thing would be to ask you where you want to go and what you want to do, princess. And, I know that, other guys are probably like those guys and I don't want to be that guy. So I'll make sure that, we do whatever you want to do. And I won't dare try to take you to my place. And I won't dare try. Like, women don't like apprehensive guys. It seems anxious. It seems like you don't know what you're doing. And that's the real thing here is that women want men that know what they're doing. When you try to acquiesce to her and leave things up to her, it shows women at large that you do not know what the heck you're doing and you're going to lose women. So he said some other stuff. He said, this can lead to women being placed in awkward, unsafe situations, blah, blah, blah. Or at best, women would need to decline offers or suggest alternatives, which would diminish his position in the dynamic because he was unable to plan things to her liking. We don't benefit from a standard that incites conflict and places women at risk. Okay, but assuming you met her before, like you didn't just walk to a girl and say, hey, I think you're hot, let's go on a date. Chances are you either A, met her on a dating app, or B, met her through friends, or C, met her at a party, or D, miscellaneous. But I'm assuming that there was a conversation of some kind before you got the number, before you start checking back and forth. In the case of online dating, you matched, so you got to have banter back and forth. I assume in that banter, you could slide in there like, hey, so like, what are your favorite restaurants around town? Hey, what kind of food do you like to eat? Hey, what are you really into? Like, that could be part of that opening conversation leading up to asking for a date, On my dating app, when I was doing online dating, I would always ask women like, what's your favorite pizza, Chicago style or hand tossed? And I'd say, and there's only one correct answer. For one, spoiler, that's a great prompt to have on a dating app. Just say in that part where they say like, we'll have fun if, and I'll say like, if you can tell me which pizza you prefer better, Chicago style or New York, and yes, there's only one correct answer. So many women would just would write me instead of me having to reach out to them, But anyway, I'm already setting out there. I'm finding out from my prompt when they answer it that they like pizza. So it's not harder for me later on to say, hey, you know what? Let's meet for pizza because they already answered my prompt and let me know they like pizza. So at this point, I already know that I can do a pizza date. And most pizza places are in public with good lighting around other people. So they're usually more than willing to say yes to the date without me having to do much, right? But to that point, even if I said, hey, let's go get some pizza, and she was like, oh, you know what? Actually, I'm allergic to pizza. I can't eat cheese, or I'm trying to watch my carbs these days, so I'm not a fan of that. Then you as a guy would be like, okay, no problem. Let's do this other thing instead. Like you as a guy should have a minimum of 3 different types of dates that you could take women on in your town, because you don't need to think of a brand new date for every brand new person. Every brand new person that comes into your queue hasn't gone on a date with you. So you can go to the same pizza place, the same Dave and Buster's, same arcade, if they still have those. Like, you don't have to make everything new. This is why I tell you guys, if you're a man with a plan, it makes dating a lot easier, because if you already have backups upon backups of, if she doesn't like this date, we can do this, this, and this, you look like what? A man with a plan, which equals you look like a man that knows how to handle women. You look like a guy that has backup plans all the time to where you never run out of plans, and women find that attractive. What they don't find attractive is you being like, well, I don't want to take her to a place where she doesn't like for sure, so I'm going to ask her what she wants, and if she doesn't like the place I picked, and oh my gosh, the worst thing that's ever happened when I was like, hey, let's go here on a date, the woman was like, well, I can't do that, can we do something else? Oh, okay. That's it. She still wanted the date. She didn't see me as less than. It wasn't a big issue that we had to change up the date location. Like, women just want to see that you're planning, that you're taking them on a date, And if they're being difficult about it, then again, you shouldn't be dating that woman. But I found most women aren't going to be that difficult. Like, men make up in their heads, if I don't do a certain thing the right way, all hell's going to break loose. And most women aren't actually like that, So, but anyway, I want to go back to the chivalry part, right? So I just want to give you guys a list of things you need to start reconsidering as it pertains to chivalry, because I think there's a lot of things that as guys we think should be chivalrous that either, again, annoy the crap out of women or aren't actually things that we need to be worrying about anymore, So let's get into that. So first off, number one, letting her choose a place is not chivalry. Women don't want to do it. Women don't like it. Women don't see that as you being, oh my gosh, you're allowing me to be part of the decision. Get that out of your head. Women do not want to be part of that decision. If they don't like the place that you've picked, they will tell you, or they will do some kind of thing like, oh, let's do something else instead. But at best, they just want to go along for the ride. For that first date, you're thinking the place actually matters. The place matters to the extent that it's relatively clean, easy to order at if you're going to some place where you order stuff, but that it's a place where you guys can sit down in a comfortable environment and get to know each other, okay? But for women, it's more about how's the experience of that first date, more so than the actual activity itself. You guys are putting too much emphasis on the activity, which is why you're failing. And again, that is not a chivalrous thing. It is more chivalrous for you to pick the place, because that looks like, I'm like, think back like the damsel in distress, like, oh, he's going to tell me where to go. Yay. And men don't get that concept. Men think, but if I tell her what to do, then that's me being that kind of guy. And feminism and the media has fooled you. Women want that kind of guy. So stop asking them, please. Thank you. Next up, being overly persistent is not chivalry. This is what I mean by that. I mean, like, basically, like, having to fight for her. Like, oh, I need to fight tooth and nail for her. I need to be going hard at her. None of that stuff is chivalry. Like, women find that annoying. Like, you being overly persistent or trying to get past her no because she really means yes, and I just got to prove myself more, blah, blah, blah. There are laws against that now. But just on a dating sense, if you ask a woman out on a date and she's like, well, maybe, or I don't know her, I'm too busy. It is not your job to try to push through that no and get a yes, or to try to convince her that she actually needs to date you. Like, stop falling for that lie. Women don't need you to do that. And the women that do need you to do that, they're going to have you trying to prove yourself to her all the time, and it is stressful, and you don't need to date those kind of women, all right? Next up, grand gestures of romance. It is not chivalry, especially early in the dating process. I know guys think, I have a whole book called a whole book called No Girls For You, The Ultimate Guide to Losing the Girl of Your Dreams, where I talk about things like this, about doing these grand gestures, about getting all these kinds of gifts. You're thinking, oh, I'm being such a gentleman. I'm being chivalrous by doing all these things and getting all these things for her. And early on in the dating process, what that's going to feel like to her is you're trying to bribe her into a relationship. Women do not feel as though bribery is chivalry. So go in with your personality. You're already taking on dates. The little money you're spending, you're already paying for that. That is more than enough. Doing extra stuff to try to prove your love or emotions to somebody that you've been on like 3 dates with, it's doing too much. So stop it. The fourth way to reconsider chivalry, telling your emotions to a woman about how much you feel for her, how much you already see a future with her. That is not chivalry. That, again, that goes back to you're trying to now emotionally bribe her into feeling the same things for you that you're already feeling for her early on in the dating process, because you're not aware that it's actually lust that's driving that. But the point is that, so I tell you guys, your actions should be speaking louder than your words. You should be barely saying anything as it pertains to like, you're so gorgeous, so I find you so attractive, we could be together. Let her be the one to do that, because coming from her, it's going to be fine. Coming from you, it's going to feel 3 times more than what you mean it to be, and it's going to chase her away. And then the fifth thing to reconsider about chivalry is that overextending yourself for her needs is not chivalry. You've been willing to drop your things at the drop of the hat to go over to her place and help fix something, or you've been willing to take time off from something you're doing important, whether it's your job or building something, to go help her. I got news for you guys. You're thinking you're winning points early on in the dating process. Women respect men whose attention and time and extra time they have to earn. If it's being given to them freely, they're not going to appreciate it. They're not going to respect it. And worst of all, they're not going to take it in the way that you want them to take it. And so that's why I say that is also not considered chivalry. So what is chivalry? What is chivalry look like in the dating phase of things in the 21st century? Well, basically these 4 pillars, right? 1, respect. So you're being polite to her. You're being considerate to her. Respect does not include having to ask her where she wants to go. It does include if you mention a place and she's like, I'm allergic, I can't go there, my ex used to take me there, I don't want to go there. And then you're saying, okay, great, let's do something else. That is now respecting the fact that she has some adherence or some aversion to wanting to do the thing that you mentioned. But you just saying, hey, let's go here and do this, that you are not being disrespectful by doing that. If anything, knowing that women like that means that you're showing respect to the part of the process that she needs in order to build attraction to you. Second, being courteous. is chivalrous. This is opening doors, pulling out her chair, etc. Some women don't even need you to do that, but you can start off doing that. And then if she's like, oh, you don't need to do that, just be like, okay, cool. Hey, just this is what I usually do, but hey, no harm, no foul, and go about it that way. But again, you asking her out to show her a good time is already the courtesy. So you thinking, and I got to ask her what she actually wants to do. You ain't got to do that. That's not you not doing that is not being not courteous. You already agreeing to take her out. You've already planned the date. You already agreed to pay for it. Like, what more courteousness do you need to show? You know? Also, kindness, being attentive. I know people say, like, oh, I got to be a bad guy. No, you don't. You can be kind to women. You can be attentive. You can be a good listener. You can talk respectfully to them. Again, I stress, you asking her for the date and agreeing to take her out is already an act of kindness. You don't have to do that. You agreeing to pay for part of her date. You don't have to do that. Like, you're going to get better results if you do, but you don't have to do that. But you're being kind. So these things are the things that will help you in terms of being chivalrous, but you ask her where to go, it's annoying her, which in effect is actually not kindness, because women across the board, I've surveyed and or talked to and or dated enough women to know that across the board, women do not need you and do not want you to ask them where to go. When you do, I've told you this now, so if you go and do it, you're now showing a lack of kindness to women at large, because they have expressed they do not need, even that boss babe that's a shot caller at work, especially doesn't want to make the decision when she gets home. She wants to be treated like a lady because she has to be boss babe, masculine energy in the office all day. You come into her at the end of the day and saying, hey, now choose where we go. Why are you keeping in her masculine energy? Like, it's not kind, so stop it. And then lastly, being chivalrous is being protective. So this is like, so many women are like horrible at crosswalks. Like, they'll just keep on walking. I've had to like put my arm out like, hey, don't walk here. Like, you will be looking out for this woman, making sure no harm's coming to her during the course of the date. I would think that if you have signed up to be her protector and her bodyguard during the course of the night, whereby, again, you're jumping in front of cars, you're making sure she doesn't walk into puddles, you're fighting off people if they come to her, that she would be fine with that, to where if you just happen to say, and by the way, I'm picking the place, she'd be like, okay. Because she knows all the stuff you're signing up for simply by agreeing to take her out in the first place. All right. So get the idea, whatever idea you have of what chivalry should be, get that out of your head and start rethinking of that and thinking about, but what does that look like to women and what do they actually need versus what do I think chivalry should look like and what they should accept from me? Because you're going to get less women sticking around if you're stuck on this idea of what you think chivalry should be, but it's not working. You know what I mean? So hopefully, guys, this helps you out. All right. So, it's been a long show so far. I still have more stuff to cover, guys. If you guys have any questions you want to ask me in the chat, feel free to do so. Okay, let's see. I had a couple comments that were left over the course of the week, aside from the one that I just read. And so I'm going to read a couple of them, and we'll see what is said. Let's see here. Oh, okay. So speaking of the Better Bachelor video, I said I got a lot of comments on that one this week. So this lady commented on that video, and she said, because, again, Joker on that video was saying, like, how dare, he asked her out earlier in the week and then waited a whole week to try to solidify the plans, and then was saying, like, well, where do you want to go? What should we do? I can come to your part of town, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, at the end, it was a no-go, because she was like, why am I waiting? And Joker got on her about that. I was like, I didn't agree. I think she was in her right to reject this date. So this woman commented and said, I have to say, if I didn't hear for almost an entire week and then heard the night before, I would have already made alternative plans, because I wouldn't plan my weekend around non-existing plans. Also, some people brunch at 10 a.m. because he was trying to take her to a brunch. And he was like, and he called the next morning and said, hey, let's do brunch at 2:00. And she was like, dude, I already got plans. Like, you didn't hit me up last night about what the actual plan was in the time. So I made plans. Again, she was in her right. So she said, some people brunch at 10 a.m., some at 3 p.m. That's a 5-hour difference. I am not blocking off the entire morning and afternoon. You were super right. Yeah, like, it's not, look at this, guys. Some of you guys have the bad habit of saying, you'll talk to a girl one day and say, hey, we should go out on a date. Hey, she'll say, hey, that's a great idea. And then rather than plan the date, you'll be like, great. So I'll hit you up later on to give you more details. You're losing women that way. You need to already be a guy that has 3 to 5 dates in his arsenal ready to go that you can invite her on. But to make her be like, I'll hit you up later, you're not giving a concrete time as to when you're going to hit her up about it. And it shouldn't be that hard to plan a date and where to go in your own town. It really shouldn't. But to make a woman wait 5, 6, 7 days to hit up and say, hey, so you still want to go on a date? Like, I wouldn't have waited either. Like, I get to know when women do that in my real life that I'm not dating. Like, hey, let's go to the movies this week. Great, when we go, I'll let you know later. No, we're going to plan right now or I'm not going. And so she was in her full right to not agree to that date. The guys that are super butthurt about that have been leaving comments like, well, she should have known this and that. Why are we shooting women? Like, why are you saying what a woman should or shouldn't already know? Because you're thinking about, and I used to do the same thing, guys. Like, I'd be thinking, well, in my guy logical brain, I think this plus this equals this. And so if I do this action, she should already know. But how annoyed do we get when women do that to us? When we're like, well, you should just know that I meant this thing, or you should just know that I felt this thing. So now he's saying, well, she should just know that when he said this certain text that it meant this thing, or when he said this word, it meant this thing, or why? Why should she know? What you should be doing as the guy is making your communication crystal clear, and you as the guy should already have some date ideas planned in advance to where you don't have to wait multiple days to try to get a date from her, because at the point that she says yes to the date, that's when you make the sale. She's already said, yes, I'll go on a date. You don't say, hey, that's great, so I'll let you up next week, do. Like, no, you make the sale at the point that she says yes. It'd be dumb. I used to sell Cutco knives. For me to be like, hey, you want to buy these knives? Absolutely. Fantastic. So I'll be back next week at the price sheet. Do. I would lose that sale because the momentum gets lost versus you say, hey, and let's say, for example, this guy, like he asked her for a date. She said yes. And then he waited a whole week to finalize plans. He would have been better asking her for a date closer to the time that he thought he could do the date, like a couple of days before. The date was meant for Sunday. He could have asked her on Thursday, hey, Sunday, are you free? Let's do a thing. And that would have been closer if he was worried about, but what if she loses? Which I tell you guys all the time, women have memories like elephants. They're not going to forget when you ask them on a date. So, but if he was worried about that, he should have asked closer to the time. But yeah, this woman was absolutely right. Like, I wouldn't have waited either. So that's all the guys saying, like, she should have known better. It's bull crap, because if your communication isn't clear, then that's on you, not on her. And I know you're thinking, well, she should be smarter than this and that. Women don't think like men. So when you ask women out, they're assuming you're coming to them already with date plans in mind, or having an idea of a restaurant of yours that's your favorite restaurant or your favorite place to go that you're going to take her to. You leaving it up to her, she's not expecting that. She doesn't want it. And she's definitely not trying to wait an extra week to hear about what you're going to possibly ask her to look up for. You know, just dumb. All right. We got a question in the chat, which I actually appreciate this question, so I'll answer it. So this guy in the chat asked, what made you get into coaching? Well, here's the honest to God story, and I talk about it a little bit in my No Girls For You book, but I'll elaborate here. So I was very bad at dating, and then when I was in college, there was a girl that I really, really liked. It was in my junior year of college, and I knew she had a crush on me. But by the time I realized that she had a crush on me, it was like too late to make the move, because she'd been showing me throughout the course of the semester. Like, she had literally been like, there'll be times where, like, we were in the same theater class together. There'll be times where she would invite me back to her place late at night, mind you, to study with her while she'd make me like food, like spaghetti or chicken nuggets or whatever. And then as the night was winding up, she'd get into her pajamas and be like, well, I'm about to go to bed now. And I'd be like, okay, great. See you tomorrow. Didn't get it. So by the time I finally started to get it, I tried to ask her out. She was like, oh, well, I told her I liked her. And she was like, oh, well, I kind of knew you had a crush on me and blah, 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 blah. And then from there on, crickets. She wouldn't talk to me. It was hard. We were in class together. She would ignore me. I got her a gift at the end of the semester, and like, it was crap, man. It was just crap. So I took a semester off to do a touring theater play. And I was with 5 other guys in a van driving around the country doing this play. And that was the first time since my dad had died that I got to be around like a group of guys and see how they actually function. Because I was around mostly women. So a lot of my mannerisms, a lot of the ways that I talked and did vocal inflections, admittedly was kind of girly. And it's like, I liked women, but like they couldn't tell because the way I was acting. So like during that 5 months, I got to go out and study like these guys that were going to clubs and whatnot. And also I started studying people. Like, that's when I found Doc Love, whose stuff is still, he's dead now, but his stuff is still great. Doc Love, David D'Angelo, a lot of these like pickup artist guys. And I wasn't trying to be like that guy that just picks up women and just leaves them. But I needed to know how to approach women and how to get them to like at least want to go on dates with me, you know? So I studied that for like the 5 months I was on the tour. funny enough, when I got back from the tour, the girl that I've been crushing on, one of the things Doc Lovett said is like, hey, if a girl's like ignoring you, just like ignore her back. Like just go no contact and don't talk to her and don't bug her and pester and stuff like that. And lo and behold, it actually worked to where she got interested again. I totally messed that up also because, again, it was new to me. So I wasn't aware that it was going to actually work. And I was like not in the habit of like doing the things that I needed to do to make those next moves. Like I remember when I got off the tour, she wrote me an email that I showed him the show. I showed her on the show earlier in the year. And it was a note that said, hey, I really miss you. I hope your play was great. I look forward to seeing you again or whatever. She invited me over to her place and I went over there and she was all dressed up in lingerie and like pajamas. And I was still like, but logic guy thinking, but she didn't actually say the words that she wanted to hook up. So it could just be her Saturday wear. So I tell you guys, logical guy thinking will keep you single. You have to learn to outthink your own logical brain to get women. So that situation went away. But anyway, the crux of the story is this. I went back my senior year of college and I had a friend that I was friends with for like the 3 years prior, woman. And we started to really get along great, like connecting, like we were hanging out all the time. She was making googly eyes at me, all this other stuff. And I at this point, I could read that she liked me, but I didn't know how to make that move. I still just wasn't in the practice of making the moves I needed to make. I was still a virgin at the time, didn't know how to get out of that virginity cycle, right? I invited her over one day for food. I made a bunch of food at my apartment. And so I literally was like, hey, I made a bunch of food. I want to see a movie. I'll invite one of my female friends over to watch stuff because I don't want to be alone and whatever. So I invited like 4 girls over and they all said, no, they can't come over. I told them I had made dinner. We can eat dinner, watch a movie. I didn't know back then that was code for like, we're going to hook up. So they were right to say no. But then the 5th girl was this friend of mine. And she initially said, oh, I'm studying. I can't do it tonight. Okay, fine. Hung up the phone. 5 minutes later, she calls me back and is like, hey, so I can come over now. In hindsight, well, I didn't realize that the fact that I said dinner and a movie and she said yes meant that she was good to go because I just didn't know what these words and singles meant yet. I was still in my learning phase, right? So that's why I try to tell you guys so much, like you have to look beyond like what's like logically in front of you and really try to start reading more into like what women are doing and saying because they'll say or react to a lot of things that we don't understand what's going on. And it's like they're trying to give us signals and we're just not getting it. So anyway, she came over, we watched the movie, we ate some food, and then middle of the night, the movie ends. And at this point, I'm like, okay, so like the movie's over. Do you want to watch another movie? And her exact words to me were like, well, I mean, I have to get up early tomorrow, unless you don't mind like driving me back to campus. And my exact response was like, it's no big deal. We can watch this movie and that can take you right back to campus. Wasn't getting it. That was like, I can stay over longer. I need to be back by tomorrow morning. So we can do some stuff. Didn't get that. So after that happened, and then I took her home, and then later on, I was like, oh, she wanted to do stuff. Anyway, missed all that. Well, as a result of that, I didn't get a chance to get with her. And she ended up going back to her ex-boyfriend that she dated freshman year that was also in my friend circle. So I got to see her and him together quite often. And I got really depressed about it. And at that point, I just like lost it. Like I got depressed. I didn't even know I was going through depression at the time. But it wasn't so much losing her. It was the fact that I thought I learned everything I needed to know about dating and I still wasn't getting it. And so I stopped going to classes. I stopped doing my work as effectively. And so I ended up fucking up my senior year, all because I was depressed about a girl. And I was so distraught and just annoyed at the fact that like, that's what did it. Like a girl caused me to ruin me graduating from college. Now, to be fair, I had to call my mom and tell her, hey, because like, I was working on a thesis. It wasn't going to get done. The computer crashed, so I couldn't finish it up. And I was like, I'm not passing. And I called my mom up and was like, hey, Mom, I'm not graduating this year. I failed out. And her response was, oh, well, you can always go back next year. I love my mom for that because I was beating myself up more than she was. So anyway, so that happened. And around this time, there was this movie that came out called Breaking All the Rules. It stars Jamie Foxx, Morris Chestnut. If you get a chance to see this movie, it will explain my entire origin story to you guys. It's called Breaking All the Rules. Jamie Foxx, Gabrielle Union's in it. It's a great movie. But in that movie, he's a guy that works at this publishing company, and his boss wants him to write a book about how to effectively fire people. And so what he does is he's going through, he had proposed to his girlfriend, the girlfriend leaves him, and so he's all depressed. But then more so, he's depressed about the fact that the way that she broke up with him was like not the right way. So he decides to write a book about how about the right way to break up with somebody. And I'm sitting there watching this movie and I'm just like, that's hilarious. That's a hilarious concept, writing a book about how to break up with somebody instead of how to get with them. Like, I wonder if I could write a book like that. And that's when I got the idea for my No Girls For You book, No Girls For You, The Ultimate Guide to Losing the Girl of Your Dreams. So if you get that book, just check out the book at the website. I think you can read a couple of chapters of it for free. But the book that I wrote is actually a book teaching guys how to lose women. And the entire book is just teaching guys why all the things that they think should work to get women actually cause you to lose women. So like I have a chapter in the book about like why not talking about sex will help you lose women, about why getting them gifts all the time will help you lose them. And it's a very, very funny book, but it's a way for guys to be able to read like, oh, okay, I do that, but that's why I shouldn't do that. That's funny. So I wrote that book, and then this is back in 2004 now. So I had a MySpace page where I could post up like dating advice from a guy that doesn't know how to date about how not to date. And I would just say, here's some dating advice to follow if you want to lose women. And also, here's my book. It costs $20. And people bought the book. And that's how I got started. Because at that point, I was like, people want to listen to what I have to say. Okay. So I started off giving advice on what not to do. But writing that book also kept me in check for like, okay, if I start doing any of these behaviors, you're going to lose the woman. So stop doing this. You did the thing. We did this. Don't do that. And that actually helped me to start figuring out, okay, well, now I know what not to do. So now I can figure out what to do. And then over the course of years, I just got better at knowing what to do until I could get into relationships and dating. And then at the point that it started happening, what you'll find is this. At the point that you get into your 30s and 40s, it goes from like, you're trying to learn all these things to like, now you want to give back. And I just found I had a very, very strong pull to want to help out guys that were once like me. Those guys that couldn't figure out why women are saying one thing and doing other things, why I feel like I'm getting mixed signals because she's saying she maybe wants to do a date but isn't showing up for the date. How is it that I can talk to women and not be so anxious and nervous? What are women looking for? Like at the point that I found all that out, I was like, I want to help other guys figure that out too. And so that's when I started doing a podcast. First, it was the Stop Losing Women podcast, which you can get all those episodes at the website. And then I decided to turn it over to the Introvert Dating Success podcast because I'm an introvert and a lot of introverts are writing me for help. So now I give advice pretty much to everybody, but I gear it towards introverts in particular because honestly, a lot of guys typically like their solo time, and it can be hard to figure out how am I going to date when I like solo time and don't want a lot of people around me. You know, but that's my entire story. So hopefully that gives you some insight into why I do this. I know people come in here and be like, you know, but you charge for X, Y, and Z. I give so much advice away for free. There are now over 900 videos on my YouTube channel. I have webinars. I have books that you can download. I have free cheat sheets. I essentially go on Reddit and just answer people's questions pro bono. Like, so yes, there was a money aspect to this. Like, I like you guys give super chats. I love when you guys get into my programs, but all that stuff is created in part to really help you guys. If it happens to benefit me monetarily, I don't feel bad about that because I put in 20 years of figuring this stuff out. If it can help you to fast forward through that to like learning this stuff in 3 months, I think it's worth charging for. But again, even if you don't, I have so much free stuff, you know, because I ultimately just care about you guys and I care about guys not making mistakes. And also I care about women. Like I care about the fact that I have so many of my women friends that date guys that would have been overall good picks if they hadn't screwed up in such obvious ways that I see as obvious that they didn't. So to help my female friends find better guys, I give you guys advice, hoping you'll go out there and do a better job than most guys are doing. And you'll find most guys are so willing and ready to put the blame on women that just listening to my stuff and being able to be accountable for what you're doing is going to put you far ahead of your competition that's going to sit there and complain about, well, she needs to accept my chivalry like this, or she needs to be better than this, or she needs to text a certain way. You could do that all day. You could say, hey, women need to be better. Women do this and that. Why are women taking their part? Guy, I talk to them too sometimes, but this is a men's channel. And so on the men's channel, I'm talking to you about what you can do to be more responsible to better your side of the road. If women come along that aren't able to do that, lead them to the side of the road. But I want you to be prepared and you to be equipped with the tools that you need to be able to succeed out there in the dating world while still getting your precious alone time. So hopefully, Guy, that answers your question. So anyway, guys, it's been 2 hours. I lose my voice. So I have so much more I could talk about, but I'm going to save that for a different stream. I'm thinking about starting a Saturday stream because honestly, I know some of you guys work during the week, or maybe for the young guys, you have school, whatever. So I'm thinking about possibly doing like Saturday morning streams. That may start to be a thing, but I'm still trying to map that out. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, guys, Hopefully you guys have a great Valentine's Day. I didn't get to the Valentine's Day part of this stuff. Jeez, Louisa. So I'll do the short version. For Valentine's Day, guys, for those of you that already have women, plan something. Like if you're in a relationship, plan something. It's funny because I was just back home for the Super Bowl, hanging with my brother, and I asked him like, "What are you getting your wife for Valentine's Day?" He's like, "Oh, well, just not really anything because we don't really do anything because we got kids and all this and that." And my thought was like, okay, but like, I know the ins and outs of life gets busy, but even if women aren't going to say it to you, women still appreciate you showing some kind of sign that shows that why you fell in love with her in the first place and that you actually see her as a woman, not just as like that thing I'm dating now or that parent over there. Like you still need to be showing your woman at any stage that you still see her as the woman you fell in love with. And so I actually, people get mad about this holiday. Oh, it's Single Awareness Day. And even the times I was single, I still appreciated this holiday because there's nothing wrong or bad about being able to show somebody that you care for them, Now, for you guys that do not have women, I will say this. Many dating coaches would say, hey, just on the day, go out there and just, go to a bar, go to a singles mixer, this and that, which you can do. Like, I'm not saying don't do those things. Those are very admirable things to be doing. I found the times that I was single on this day, if I didn't have a date, I would stay home and study. Like I would study up on, okay, what things do I need to get better at for the next time I do have a girlfriend, the next time I do get a date, like what conversations can be better? How can I plan out better dates? Like I really focused on what things can I do to improve myself so that way the next year would not be me being single. And so I found more often than not, I've been able to have a Valentine on Valentine's Day. But that because the years that I didn't, I focused on getting better at relating to people in general, And so if you're single this year, don't feel bad. Don't be beat on yourself like, oh my God, I don't have another Valentine. Everybody else around me seems to have somebody. Like take that as motivation to get better at communicating. And hey, if you decide to go out and go to a bar or a mixer of some kind, like really just don't even focus on trying to get into a relationship or trying to get in a hookup. Just focus on trying to approach a woman and say hi. Or focus on and say, hey, what's going on? Hey, nice to meet you. Or hey, what are you drinking? Those transactional conversations. Like focus on that. Focus on just in what ways can I be better approaching women so that way I'm guaranteeing that they're having a good time. If you focus more on just trying to show the women that you're interacting with a good time and taking off the agenda of, I have to try to get to sleep with her, I have to try to make her into a relationship, you will find that you'll get a better reaction and response from women. And they're going to be, trust me, there are plenty of single women out there that are just hoping a guy like you comes along with a decent enough conversation, isn't trying to overly touch on her when you first meet her, isn't overly trying to like tell sexual jokes, and just has a normal conversation. Yes, I know we get this whole thing of like women want bad boys and all this stuff. At the end of the day, women want a guy that can have a good conversation, that is fun, and if it happens to lead to that lane, is also good in the sack. But you don't have to be a bad boy to do all that. Just study up. If you need help with that, I got videos. More importantly, I got my website, introvertdatingsuccess.com. Go there for coaching, ebooks, audiobooks, programs, all that great stuff to help you better assess where you're at and help you to get where you're going. All right. So anyway, that is all I have to say, guys. So thank you so much for tuning into this show. I'll be back next Tuesday. And again, I'm looking at Saturday right now, but I don't quite know yet. So you guys, if you sign up if you go to the website and get the texting book, you also sign up to my newsletter, whereby I inform you guys about things that are coming up, things that are happening, when streams are happening. So if nothing else, go there to sign up for that. All right. But thanks guys for watching. I'm Harry Wilmington, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. I'm out. Peace.
You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high class man. You a high